Hey guys, in today's video we're going to be working on my wife's 2011 Genesis Coupe, and this is the 2.0 liter model, but I'm sure that this repair also applies to the 3.8. The issue that she's having is the passenger side window was getting stuck about midway and would not go up any higher. The day that she brought it to my attention, I went ahead and took it apart and modified it so that the window would stay up. But today we're going to repair this. I'm going to go ahead and take the door panel off, show you guys what I learned about window removal and mechanism removal. That way we can do the repair and you guys can save yourself some money. The part that we picked up is from Rock Auto. It was about $100 shipped. And so let's get started. So there are two screws on this door panel that need to be removed. One is behind this little plastic cap right here. So to get at this plastic cap, what you're going to do is get a pick tool behind this edge and just pull up on it, and it'll pop out. And then once you have it out, you're going to need to remove that screw that's back there. Another place where there's a screw is here near the door handle. So if you look down here, there's a screw in there, and I already took that one off, but that one is covered by a little plastic cover. And to get this plastic cover out, all you need to do is fish a hook tool in on the side, turn it, and then just pry up on it. Once you get it up and out, then you'll see that spot there for a screw. Those are the only two screws. Another place that you need to remove a little plastic panel is over here on this little triangle. So this thing just pulls straight out. So all it is just a couple of little plastic fasteners here that push right onto these threaded bolts that come out of this side mirror. And the rest of the things that hold this door panel on are clips. Along the bottom, there's a couple of indentations. Let me show you where those are. So there's one indentation right there, and there's another one right there. And so what you want to do is you want to get a panel tool up under there, and it gives you enough space that you can see. So if you lay down underneath the door and you look up, you'll see the plastic clip. Once you get those two clips off, then you'll be able to see the rest of the clips that are holding the door panel. I'll go ahead and pull these clips off, and I'll mark the location of all the other clips. I highly recommend that you use some kind of a panel tool to remove it. And let me show you what the panel tools look like. So here's a panel tool, and this will slip around that fastener and compress those little tabs on the side, allowing you to pull the door panel off. Now sometimes they're turned to the side, so those that are turned to the side, chances are you're probably going to break them. So what I would recommend is going by Napa and just picking up some spares of these. I can't remember what this costs, but I'll look it up and leave a price in the description along with a link. All right, so let's pull the door panel off. Once you got enough of them off, you can use the panel itself to apply leverage on them, and they'll pop right off. You got to make sure you get these screws out, otherwise they're not going to come off. And then just pull up on the door panel, and it'll come out. And let me show you this part here. So if you look here at these things here, you got a plug. See if you can see that plug back there. So you got a plug here. You got to take this plug off to give you some more space. So just depress this little pin down here and it'll come out. And then there's another plug over here. This is the plug for the speaker. It's got another little place where you can depress a tab to pull it out. And once you have it at this point, what you need to remove next is this lock and unlock handle. And this thing has like a little plastic cover with a couple of cables. So it has a little area here that you can depress. So you pull this towards you, and this thing will rotate up and just completely pull out. You see how easy that is? And it grabs onto these two points right here. All right, so I'm going to get this thing out of the way. All right, and here are the snap locations. So you got one up here, one over here on the side, one over here, and then these two on the bottom that have the indentations I talked about. You have another one over here. Make sure you guys can see that. Got another one here, just before the speaker, one after the speaker, one to the left of the speaker, and then you got two more up here near this side mirror. I already removed the motor, but this was held on by 3 screws, and it was like this. These are the 3 screws, and I'll go ahead and reassemble this so you guys can see it all reassembled. Now they provide you a couple of access areas here. So you have these lower ones and these upper ones, depending on where the window stopped working. What I had to do is, in my case, the window was, I couldn't lift it any higher than about this much, and it was stuck. But to unstick it, what you need to do is remove the motor. And once you remove the motor, you can manually pull it up. And once you get it all the way to the top, you can use these top access points to get at these two nuts here. So let me show you, let me see if you can see those in the video. Yeah, so you can see this nut right here. So that has to come off. Now this nut holds the, goes all the way through the glass. So take this one off last. This one on this side, when you remove it, it's like sandwiching the glass, but it also has a shelf for the glass to rest on. So it's not gonna fall down if you remove this one. So remove this one first, and if you're working by yourself, after you remove this one, loosen the one on the right, till it's just about out, but don't take it out all the way. And then make sure you got a good hold of the window, and then you can remove the whole thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull that off. And you have to remove the window to remove this metal track system. Without removing the window, there's no way this will come out, because the window's longer than this is. So when the window is all the way down, it goes past this plate, and it doesn't allow you to pull it out. Make sure you fasten your 10mm on properly before you try to remove it. Alright, so like I said, this one doesn't have to come out all the way. All you have to do is loosen it. And if you drop the bolts inside or tools or whatever, it doesn't matter, because you're going to be able to have access to the whole inside of the door. Alright, so I got that one out. Okay, so now all you got to do is just pull the window out. And you may have to pull this little rubber seal off. And there you have it, okay? And put the glass someplace where it's not going to get damaged. All right, what we're going to take off now are these 10mm screws all the way around this edge here. All right, now that you got all of those off, you're gonna use these two little holes. You're going to pull up on this, and you're gonna work it out of here. Now there's a couple of pins on each side. This one kind of like goes in and down, and this one is just a straight pin. So what you're gonna have to do is just kind of work it a little bit till you get it out. And once you get it to this point, this thing is gonna have some clips that hold this cable here, and you could probably just press it with your fingers and get it to release. And that's it. All right, so what I did to temporarily hold the window, if you guys get stuck like I did, is I 3D printed this little part right here, and then drilled and tapped the hole into this metal, and then this keeps this rail up. And if this rail is up, it's tethered with this stainless steel cable to this other wheel on this side. So both of these will stay in the same position if you lock one. So that's how I was able to keep the window up while I was waiting for the part to come in. All right, guys, so here's the new part. And I'm going to show you what broke on the other one, so you guys have an idea of what to look out for in case your window stops working. So the thing that broke is this plastic, this little plastic gear right here. So this plastic gear just broke apart, and because it was broken, the cable was getting coiled around it, and it couldn't unwind or wind properly, and that's what caused the window to bind. And unfortunately, you can't get just this plastic piece. You would think that someone would just make this one plastic piece if this is the failure point, but instead they make you get the whole part. You probably could have had this made and probably sold this for like $25, but instead they make you buy the whole thing. And if you buy this from the dealer, you're gonna get ready to spend like $300. But you can pick this up at Rock Auto for under $100 shipped. All right, one thing that we're gonna need is we're gonna need to transfer over these plugs. So I'm just gonna get those from the old window mechanism. And be careful because the metal's sharp. So just take care of taking them off so that you don't cut yourself. And just take your time and work them in there. And then make sure that you got your tools out. If you have any tools that got left behind inside the door. And then, like I said, this thing has a couple of pins. Let me show you the pins. All right, so there's a couple of pins. One hole is here, another one is here, and you see how this one's kind of like hook style. So it has to go in and down, and this one just goes in right here on the bottom. Turn this thing around. And it goes just like this, okay? So the bottom sticks down, so this has to go in first, and then it falls right into place. So make sure your cable's in front. And then, like I said, make sure that you use get your fingers, grab it, put it into position, and then just tighten up the screws. So we'll attach the motor here in a minute, and we'll roll the windows up. I'm just going to start these by hand. Oh, and I just noticed something. So on the old panel, there's this this little part here. So this is what's gonna lock the outside plastic panel to this part, and this part does not come attached. So you're gonna need a rivet gun for this. They did supply the bracket with the rivets, which is right here. All right, and the way a rivet gun works is this little part here will slip in through this bracket, through the panel, and then the tool keeps it pressed up against this little bracket and then pulls the pin down, and it will expand this inside of the on the other side of the metal, and then it'll break off the little aluminum pin when it can't compress anymore. And that's how this works. And you can get a rivet gun pretty inexpensively at Harbor Freight, or like I said, you can use nuts on the other side if you don't have access to a rivet gun. So when you get a rivet gun, it's going to have different size pin holders. So you just find the appropriate one. So that's too small. This one's just perfect. This one's too big. So I need to replace it for this one. All right, so all you're going to do is put the little bracket on there. Insert the rivet. And then you're gonna push the pin into the rivet gun, and then keep pressure on the bracket, and then you ratchet the rivet tool, and then it breaks it when it's fully compressed. Make sure you get the rest of the pin out from inside, and then do the last one. There you go. All right, now I'm just going to tighten up the rest of these bolts here. And I'm just going around and just snugging them up first, and then I'll just go back and tighten them. And they don't have to be crazy tight because there's so many of them. They're not going to really come loose. I'm going to close up these bottom accesses because I'm not going to use them. I'm going to use the same top ones like I did when I removed the window. And you can turn these however you need them to be. I'm going to point these flaps down so they stay out of my way. I think I'm going to do the same with these. Point them all down. Alright, one thing that you didn't see on the last segment, because I had the panel off to the side, is these little clips here. So to release them, all you're doing is just squeezing these two side pins. Let me get you in close so you can see. So all you're doing is just squeezing these little side pins from the other side of the panel to release them. But to put them back on, just push them in and snap them. Just like that. Alright guys, so now the next thing is we're going to just put the motor on. Now you got to be careful with this because it has this metal, this section is removable, and inside there's a rubber piece. So make sure you don't lose any of these components. The rubber is there to absorb shock. So when it gets to the uppermost position, the rubber will give, and it'll keep from messing up these gears. So just line it up. And it uses these three screws. Now these are screws that you didn't see me take off. These are torque screws. Let me get my torque bits and I'll tell you what size it is. Alright guys, the size for this is a T20. See it there? I think you can. And you're screwing these into plastic, so they don't have to be crazy tight. Just once they bottom out, that's all you need. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take the controls off of the door panel so that I can roll the windows up. Alright, so I'm just turning on the car. Alright, that's up all the way. So now I got access to the bolt here, and I got access to the bolt here. Alright, and you want to loosen this bolt. You don't want to take it out all the way. Alright, and just carefully get your window and put it back in there. And then you want to look through the hole and line up your screws. All right, and the window's currently up all the way, so you want to make sure that you align this bolt, especially this bottom one here, or this back one, because it's not in the center of its hole yet. And once you get a little pressure on it, and you want to come up to the front one, and you want to pull it up so that it's even with the edge of the seal, and then just tighten it down. And you don't have to get crazy tight, just snug, because it's not gonna. Yeah, you don't want to over tighten any of these screws. Alright, so this back one here shifted down a little bit, so I'm going to pull it up. And once I got the washer centered in the plastic part, you want to tighten it down. You know what? I think with this, I'm gonna make a centering. I'm gonna 3D print a centering ring, because I don't like the fact that this is not centered. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me get you in close so you can see what I'm talking about. So you see that? Turn the light on, maybe you guys can see a little better. Yeah, you can see that it's not centered in its hole. Yeah, I'm gonna make a little centering bushing. That way I can get this thing in the middle. Alright guys, so here's the little part that I made. So all it is a little 3D printed washer. It looks more like a bushing. And anyway, so let me go ahead and install that. And that's much better. Alright, so now when you look inside of there, that thing is centered. See it there now. And you can see that it's centered now. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and cover this up. I'm going to reinstall the weather stripping. And what I did here is I replaced all of the clips. Let's see if I can tilt this down so you guys can see. So I replaced all the clips. Alright, I'm going to start with this the handle cables. All you do is you insert the end of it in first, and make sure that these are pulled towards you. And then it has to slide into this little groove here. I'm not sure if you guys can see that. This little groove right here, it has a hole, and this end right here goes into that hole, right this end. So just have this towards you, and as it goes into that hole, it also has to slide in through this. There's like a little groove here at the top. Once you get it in there, just push it down and it locks in. Alright, now I'm just going to install the little speaker. So this is the tweeter of the door. Just going to plug that in. I'm going to plug in the window control. Make sure it snaps in. And then that's it. So let me back up the camera here. Hopefully you guys can see. And then you want to start at the top. So you want to get the top on first. And you may have to slide it forward or back until you get those top clips on. And once you get the top ones on, you can just go ahead and they'll all snap in. And that's it. Alright, so the last thing now is just to put the screws, and then we'll test it all out, make sure everything is working properly. The little triangle back on. Check your handle and your lock to make sure they work. And then put the little insert inside. And there you go. Alright guys, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Turn on your notification bell. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and leave me some comments. I love reading the comments and do my best to get back to you guys as soon as I see them. Alright guys, till the next one. Take care.